Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Friday, August 6, 2010. Today I wanted to go through a very simple WebVelocity demo. A little over a year ago I did a demonstration with WebVelocity where I was following a TimeTracker example that I saw someone do in various frameworks like Java and Python and Ruby on Rails and a few other things. And I thought it would be nice to add a Seaside WebVelocity example. Now what I'm going to do is recapitulate that demo using WebVelocity 1.1. Most of the things are the same, but there are a couple of small changes in the way you run through things. First thing I need to do is create a new application with a schema, which I've done already. And now what I need to do under configuration is set up my database. So I've set up my localhost 5432 Postgres database with my username and password, and I've hit the test login so it's configured. And now what I did next was I went to the schema, and from schema under public I mapped these two tables in. So all I had to do is go down here to project, and it's not in this list anymore because it's mapped, but I went down to project and records and I mapped them into these two tables, into these two Smalltalk objects, project and record. And also under project, what I made sure to do was add an instance variable to map records. There was a prompt down here for that and I added it. Then all I really had to do is add a little bit of code. I had to add very small amounts of code. Actually, under project, what I wanted to have under methods is a printing method here. So I opened up printing, went to print on, and under print on I wanted to make sure that instead of the class name I got the project name, and likewise for class record I wanted to make sure that instead of getting the class name I got the activity name, and that gave us this. So I go to browse projects.html, and you can see that this prints start demo and finish demo, which is what I had there last year when I did this. And the only thing I need to do here is go into WebVelocity demo and I can add individual records. Now, I'm not showing you one small thing. Let's go back here. I had to add a little bit of code because from the project view, I wanted to be able to add new records, which wasn't there by default. So I'm going to go to the project view UI. So when I go over here and I've gone into an individual thing, let's close this. When I go into an individual project, I wanted to add this button. So the question is, how do I do that? Well, I come into rendering HTML and I added one method, render actions on. So I have super render actions on, and that's to put the buttons that were already there. And then I add a new button, record, with a callback, and I have self call to open up an edit UI, and this works just like a dialog box. Call the edit UI. If it returns true, make the record that I've created persistent, add that record to our list of records, and commit the unit of work. Now, the one small change from WebVelocity 1.0 that I mentioned here is that I used to have this whole bit of code here in its own method, and it turned out that in WebVelocity 1.1, call can't be called from outside of a callback. It's the way they've changed things in the Seaside framework. It's not a change to WebVelocity, it's a change to Seaside. So I had to sort of stuff this back in here, and that's why this method is a little longer maybe than I'd like. I would have preferred to have factored this out, but that's the way it is. So now, having done that, I can come back over here and I can say, well, let's add a record. And you notice this formats it fairly decently. So I'll say start WebVelocity 1.1 demo, and we'll leave the date alone, and I'll say the total minutes were 15, and I'll say accept, and there it is, start WebVelocity 1.0. I'll close this, go back here, and you can see it's in that list. So I can edit this, and I can come down here to these individual ones. I can edit this individual 1.1. You notice that this formats fairly decently with a drop down for the months and the timestamp. If I wanted to drop in something like a calendar picker, that's a little bit of JavaScript work or HTML, CSS work, depending on which one I pick from the vast numbers of them that are available out there on the web. But that's something that I'll leave as an exercise to the reader. In any case, that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.